This is a time of the year where a lot of people need to hear this.
Some people don't like to admit it. It's never fun to admit your failures.
It's actually not adding nutrition on top of it or dieting on top of your life. It's integrating it in your life. Whereas those other people who are just trying to do it for a short-term thing, they're starving for 4 weeks, you're just destined to fail. It's not going to work. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I am your coach and host, Josh, here with
His co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And we're going to be talking about why your diet isn't working. And don't worry, we're going to tell you what to do instead. This is a time of the year where a lot of people need to hear this. So take it away, Kyle.
Honestly, I find that the most amount of conversations I have, and when I have these conversations with people who are just trying to get better, a lot of them just say, I tried to do something and it didn't stick. I did something for a week, but I couldn't stick to it. Or last year I did this and then I just started to struggle. And some people are honest with it. Some people don't like to admit it. It's never fun to admit your failures, but I find that when you can see what doesn't work, it allows you to figure out what does work, right? And the first and most important thing that I find is like holding people back is just simply focusing on the short term, focused on short-term restriction and just trend hopping. Now, there will always, and there have been consistently new diets that have come out day after day. Every single year, there will be something else. There will be a new trend. Social media is a very powerful place. We were talking about it on the Monday episode of just like the trends that take place and what people end up following. And I find that a lot of people really give into the shiny object syndrome. So if I were to come out here and say, I've got a new way to lose fat and it involves this crazy, exciting new thing, and I just start to tell you all about it, some people are like, ooh, like I gotta try this. Like even if what they're doing is working, they'll still want to try it, but especially if what they've been trying hasn't been working, right? So a lot of people end up cutting calories too aggressively. They start cutting out food groups. They cut out specific macronutrients. So think of like keto, for example. You might just say, I'm never gonna have carbs again. Or carnivore, you're only gonna have a specific type of food and you're gonna be missing out on a lot of stuff. Now, here's the kicker. You can absolutely stick to it for a week. You may be able to do it for 2 weeks, maybe even a month. But most of the time when someone starts to feel like a failure because they fell off track, because they went away, because something happened, or just because it's so hard to stick to, people are just like, I'm done here. I just don't want to do it anymore. They feel like a failure. Or the last thing is when you go back to a normal style of eating, which a lot of people will, you just end up gaining it all back, right? If you're like, hey, I'm never going to have carbs. I'm going to just aggressively diet and cut and follow this new juice cleansing trend or whatever it is. And then you start to eat like normal again, you just gain all the way back. So my biggest recommendation is don't be that type of person who's just thinking 1 week in advance. Think long term. This alone will be the biggest hack to be able to help you stay on track and sustainably follow a diet day after day.
The next reason most people's diets fail is because they're obsessed with everything new and exciting. So as a coach, this is like the antithesis of everything I stand for, stand against, or stand for, I suppose. And an example is whenever I hear from someone, hey, there's this new documentary I watched, I'm like, oh, I know there's going to be some grand statement. I know Game Changers was a big one. There was another one. There was one keto, one plant-based one. And when it came out, everyone wanted to switch because this is the reason they were failing. It's because they weren't on keto or because they weren't plant-based. Like this was their understanding. But the reality is a lot of the time you're not failing because you're doing things wrong. Usually you're failing because you're in your own way. You're not actually focusing on what matters. And it's easier to explain that away by saying, oh, it's because I wasn't on keto, I failed. Instead of actually looking at, okay, I'm failing because I'm snacking every night. I break my diet every night. Every weekend I go off the rails. Every time I'm supposed to go to the gym, I end up skipping it. I only go a couple times, or I'm on my phone at half intensity. It's hard to admit those things to ourselves, but as your coach, as your podcast host and friend here, I got to be honest with you and just say, stop focusing on trying to find that new thing, that magic pill, that next special workout, that special dieting plan that's going to work for you. Like it's really the basics mastered. And even for us, if there was a quick and easy way, I'd love to develop something and help people with that. That's just not not the reality. The quickest and easiest way is to improve your system. So to better understand nutrition, to utilize 80/20 rule, to be consistent, to be on a solid training regimen that fits your lifestyle, to have accountability, rest, and recovery that's going to support your journey. Those are the secrets, not some magic pill, not some magic diet, not intermittent fasting. Far too often, people think these will be solutions. They'll fail then and they'll be discouraged and they'll just continue to think, I need to find my thing. I need to find my thing. And I love challenging this when people come into my coaching program and they realize like, oh shoot, it didn't need to be this hard. I was misapplying my energy. I was looking in the wrong areas. And instead I can actually do less, just do it with more intention and do it with more clarity. And they see amazing results. So you got to get out your own way. Stop looking for these quick solutions or these like whatever it may be, and instead focus on what really matters.
I will say one of the best things you can do is have staples that you can rely on consistently. So a lot of times people will just like need things to be so exciting or else they just can't stick with it, right? But even Josh's example of his breakfast, like I shared in the presentation I did recently, everyone was like, what is the breakfast? What's the breakfast? But we've just had the same thing over and over again for like 3+ years. It's really important just to have your staples, just not need to have this like crazy new and exciting thing. I think just the fascination just is what kills a lot of people. It's just stay consistent, eat some fun foods, which I'm about to talk about, but also have your consistent ones that you have throughout your day, week after week. But a lot of people, they are so good when it comes to having meal prepped, when it comes to being in the most perfect situation. People are really good. Like you've got your macros laid out, you got your protein planned, you've got the right intentions. But the day that a social event comes up, you have no idea what to do. You're like, oh my gosh, it's Saturday. I have a wedding that's here. I'm good. I don't know what to do anymore. Now, what I've learned over the years, and myself included, I made a lot of mistakes in my early social years, is that some people will just cramp up and they're just like, I have no idea what to do. And then they end up just going completely overboard. They say, whatever, I'm going to go 3,000 calories over, and they just struggle. They end up just turning that into a snowball, which we'll talk about after. But then on the other end, and I used to be this person because I've done both of them, where you just feel like you can't even do anything. You're just like, well, I have a social event and I don't have calories for this. I can't even go. I don't want to be in this situation. I don't want to be in this peer pressured event. And I don't know what to do. You know what? I'm never seeing anyone again. I'm just like, I can't do it, which is no way to live. Like my biggest mission and what we do as coaches is teach you how to have a social life and still see some incredible results. Like that's our entire tagline. And it's funny because I calculated out, like I would say I'm more social than the average person. Like I need to be doing stuff and I love to. I calculated out like the amount of social events that I have throughout the week, or sorry, throughout the year. It could even just be one poker night every single week. Like we get boneless wings. I love it. I allocate it to my calories. I save, calories for that. I don't have any of the extra stuff. Like that's one event, right? There's many weddings, there's birthday parties, there's special travel events, there's always something with cottage weekends. And so my ultimate goal years ago was like, how can I still do all this stuff without neglecting friends, without neglecting great times, and still be able to stay on track? And a lot of it comes down to a science, right? It comes down to making the right option. It comes down to preparing. It comes down to knowing what you can even say at restaurants. Like, believe it or not, there's a lot of things when you go into a restaurant where you can ask for stuff without being annoying. You can make different requests. You can ask for stuff on the side. You can look at menus in a different way. And I have a lot of principles on this. And what I've actually gone ahead and done is I've actually put together a full ebook. It's my fast food survival guide. So it's going to show you a lot of macro-friendly restaurants, like fast food chains if you're ever on the go, but also different tips and principles on how to navigate at a restaurant and still be able to feel like you're being successful and making the right choices. Just message me on Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusUSFIT, and all you have to do is say fast food guide. I'll send that completely over. And I truly believe like you'll have so much more confidence going into situations, knowing that you're going to be able to make the right decision, stay on track. It is an incredible feeling. And that's to me is a very, very important part of the journey.
My next piece of advice why a lot of people fail is using short-term measures as permanent solutions. If your diet, if you're being really restrictive or you're locking in or eating in a way that isn't sustainable, a lot of people have this understanding that you can do that. You're going to get to a point and you're going to be at your perfect weight. Your calories are going to be good. You can just go back to life before and everything's going to be all right. But all that's going to do is you're going to lose all this weight from this time when you were really dedicated and you were on a meal plan, and then you go back to life before, and you're just going to find your way back up to that starting point, or maybe even worse, you may end up gaining weight. So you can just work against this by saying, like, can I do this for the rest of my life, this eating style? That's not to say there aren't phases where I'm in a cutting phase or a dieting phase when I clearly know for XYZ period of time I'm dieting to this amount to lose this much weight, but then I can revert and come out of it. But if you're being restrictive or you're doing really oddly specific diets where you only eat cranberries and peanuts, that's not going to be realistic. There's going to be an event where you need to eat something else, or you don't have access to that, or you're out with friends, as Kyle had mentioned. And that's why the tenets of a great program and a great nutrition plan in general is something you can do for life. It's actually not adding nutrition on top of it or dieting on top of your life. It's integrating it in your life. And I have the best success with this by doing 80-20. So I'll eat 80% whole, hearty, healthy foods. 20% will be more fun foods. I'll have a cookie. I'll have some boneless wings. It's no big deal. And it's not to say I like measure that out to an exact formula every single day in terms of percentages as to what's healthy or not. But this is a general tool I can use to say, hey, I can still have some fun things, but bulk of my diet is good, whole, hearty foods, right? 80% is going to be good foods. They're going to bring me up. I can still have fun. Now, there's some days, or if I'm really deep in a deficit, I might slide that over and eat 100% clean because it sates me more, it gives me more energy, it's more realistic for my situation. But here and there too, there's times where I'm around a ton of really cool food or unique situation, and maybe it's more 50-50 and it's not a perfect day of eating. But these tools allow me to have that control, to understand that sliding scale, to know how nutrition works and how it affects me, to make those adjustments to do this long term. Whereas those other people who are just trying to do it for a short-term thing, they're starving for 4 weeks, you're just destined to fail. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and on that note, obviously Josh was mentioning flexible dieting. Like that is the reason why I've never felt like I've had to start over again, which is going to bring me into number 5. A lot of people feel like they need to constantly start over. Monday is a new day. Monday is a new week. I'm starting over again. How many times have you told that to yourself? I'm going to promise you there have been a lot of times you've said, I'm starting over. You know what? It's a fresh start. You know, this type of mindset is just not what's going to work, because the truth is you're always going to be starting over. You're always going to have to start fresh if you happen to go away. And I find usually it's Friday to Sunday where like a lot of people just really, really struggle. They end up having that all or nothing mindset. You know what? Friday, I happen to go over just a little bit, so let me just make this worse. You know what? Saturday, all right, Saturday is going to be a cheat day, so I'm just going to have everything that I couldn't have before. And then you know what? Since I'm already feeling pretty crappy and it's a Saturday, why not just turn Sunday into a bad day and just go do everything that I couldn't do, and then Monday I'm going to start fresh, right? This is just such a backwards mentality. And the truth is, obviously we've been talking about flexible dieting, and today's title is like what to do instead. It's about figuring out, how can I make it work? How can I have that cookie that I've been looking forward to and make it work? How can I just enjoy fun foods without feeling like I'm a failure, without feeling like I have to start over and over and over again? And I just find so many people feel like they're back at square one. And even I've seen a lot of different trends. Someone will have really great weigh-ins, you know, from Monday to Thursday. Friday, there's nothing in there. They just go completely overboard, and then boom, you have to start over again. And this alone will be like probably the biggest thing that you can start to implement, is just not having that all or nothing mindset. And even like one hack, and I shared this with one of my clients this morning in a voice note, I said, we need to treat the weekends like the weekday, right? A lot of people during the week, they've got their meals prepped, they go to their desk, they do a lot of great stuff. And then Friday, you don't even think about meal prep. You're just like, all right, it's the weekend, let's go. But if you can maintain that consistency during those times where you're like in a more specific schedule and like more organized, like the weekdays, and treat the weekend like that as well, you'll do some incredible things. But Of course you can still go out. Of course you can still have fun foods. And that's not what it's all about, is not like neglecting all that, but it has to be in a specific way where you can still make great decisions and stay on track. So yeah, don't feel like you have to start over again, but try not to put yourself in a position where you always feel like you have to start over.
My next tip, and a reason you're likely failing, is you're not making it easy on yourself. You're not preparing yourself for success. Some ways I do this for myself are, if I know I'm in a busy season, when I knew I was having a new baby, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get meal preps delivered. That's going to help me stay consistent in a time that's going to be really difficult to do so. I'll also in the morning look at what I'm eating. I know I'm having wings tonight. I'm already locking those. They're already in my fitness pal. They're good to go. I knew what my lunch was, my breakfast. I know any wiggle room I have outside of that. I'm also making it easier for myself when I go there and I'm like, I can have 8 wings, because when they're there, they look delicious. I want to grab 16. I want to grab 20, or I grab a few and I just keep going and I don't know. I'm just setting myself up for failure. You can also lock in some times where you work out with friends. If you have a hard time getting there, say, okay, I'm going to message some of my friends and actually have like someone to go to the gym with each day that's going to push me, that's going to build me up. So the more you can find ways to make it easier for yourself, the easier it will be, as obvious as this sounds. If you have a bunch of garbage food in your house that you know when you're in a pinch, it's all you eat, or you just end up ordering out, you're not going to succeed. Have tons of protein snacks, have tons of good options, and be honest with yourself. If you buy veggies and you always throw them out, they go nowhere, and you need to spend a bit more for like pre-cut veggies or pre-cut fruits, do that till you build the habit and actually start cutting it. If you're not doing your meal prep, order meal prep, or have go-to places to eat out. Like, you need to have emergency fail mechanisms to make it easier for you to succeed. Just the same, I'll set up my gym clothes the week before. I'll make sure all clean and nice to eliminate any barriers there. Anything you can do to remove friction, as Kyle said above, like just preparing yourself, having a system, having tools, having a food scale, having a coach, it just makes it so much easier and it guarantees your success.
Yeah, and honestly, like the biggest underlying reasons most people don't succeed is just it's not sustainable, you're underprepared, and honestly, like that alone will kind of summarize a lot of it. But I find that one of the biggest solutions is just actually having someone hold you accountable, right? So a lot of people have the right intention. I speak to so many amazing people who say, I've got this goal to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to start to cut my calories. I'm going to track. I'm going to stay consistent with it, but they just don't end up doing it. And the main reason is because like nobody will call them out. Like I promise you, the amount of times I've talked to someone who's failed, they have no support mechanisms. There's nobody checking anything. Nobody will call them out. Nobody will, change their macros for them. It's just like they say they're going to do it and then there's nothing. Like no one else is on their team. And that's why I truly believe. So we have a 99% success rate in our coaching program, which is awesome. We've actually had about 5,300 people come in the program. And what we like to assign our clients is it's called the freedom formula. So the freedom formula is a way of eating where you don't have food restrictions, you can still have a social life, but everything's created for you. So what Josh needs, what I need, what my client who is a mother of 3 who just had her baby and she's 3 months postpartum, what she needs is different. Like everyone is so unique based off of the numbers, based off of their parameters, based off of their lifestyle, their busyness, and like we make adjustments. And that's where a lot of people end up struggling, is that they end up setting out and say, you know what, I'm gonna eat healthier. And that's awesome, but there's no accountability involved. There's no changes being made where you can actually start to be in a proper deficit, where it's not too big of a deficit and you're actually able to see change. So what we're looking to do is help a few of you who want to actually incorporate the freedom formula, where you can actually have a social life, you can still have fun, you can still travel, but also see results and just feel absolutely incredible. Right now, we're taking on a few of you awesome people and we want to show you guaranteed results, no risk involved or your money back. And all you have to do is just fill out the first link down below. It's going to be our website. It'll take you a few minutes and we'll show you what you're capable of and absolutely help you out. But this is the year where you stop struggling, where you stop saying, you know what, I'm going to try again. Let me just give it one more shot. Because the truth is, a lot of people will be in that scenario. They're going to try, they're going to do something for a bit, and then it's going to be the same result over and over again. In order to see change, you actually have to make change. And I'll be that change for you. Josh will be that change for you, and I'll guarantee your results. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. We appreciate you all. If this episode stuck with you, you learned something, please share it on your media. It's how we can grow, and we'll see you on the other side. Make sure to fill out that coaching form, and I can't wait to help you out. Peace out.